What's up, everyone? This is a Nosebleed Perspective, and I'm back today with two guests who came on last week, and they just couldn't seem to get enough of the show. They crushed it last week. I had a lot of fun talking to them about the Steelers, talking to them about the NFL as a whole. I'm really excited to have them back on to share their beautiful sports minds here on a Nosebleed Perspective. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Beautiful.
the Bouvy brothers, how you guys doing?
What up,
Good,
dog?
man. Happy to be back.
Yeah. Let's talk about
I need a redemption show.
Yeah.
A rough week.
rough. I'm a
Rough
dog
week.
because it was rough.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the fights obviously didn't we were I mean, you all got me all excited about it, so
So I will say about the fights, right?
Mhm.
I will say about the fights. Only one I was dead wrong on was Alexander Volkov. Walt Harris, after watching him in that fight, and he's gone through a lot in his life recently, his real personal life. I mean, very traumatic. He probably doesn't need to get in a ring again because he had no heart. And that's expected. I mean, that's not a schwack on him or his character.
Yeah.
What he went through was terrible. He probably doesn't need to fight in the UFC again because the man lost his heart. Khabib, I did say he should win by submission.
he did.
Yeah.
But if you were gonna try to make money, Gaethje by KO was the most likely scenario other than Khabib by submission. So
I like
I
what you
will
did with
say-
your Facebook post. It was hilarious.
oh yeah.
Gaethje will win this fight. 5 minutes later, Khabib will win this fight.
Well, and look, I stand by betting on Gaethje to finish Khabib because that's where the fun money is. It's not fun to bet for the favorite. And I
Yeah.
was already up big from Ohio State. So I was like, yeah, I'll fire on it. I asked Ben before the fight, I said, "You're sure about Gaethje?" And he said, "Fire Gaethje." I was like, let's do it. And it didn't work out well. And obviously the money should have been on Khabib by submission. That's the smart
Yeah,
money.
it was
It's
the
not
smart money.
fun money.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I will say this, that Gaethje, he fought a very smart but fearless fight. I mean, he did. He took some big shots at Khabib and landed a couple times, but man, does that guy have a chin. And went out on top. Good for him because there's nothing else for him in the lightweight division. The only thing bringing him out of retirement is GSP, which
Ooh.
that could
Well, they're
happen.
buddies, right? It'd be a good fight. Mutual
they're-
respect there.
They're both very elite. They buy into the martial arts lifestyle. They're very respectful. So that would be a true martial artist matchup. And I'd pay $90 to watch that fight.
Sheesh. Probably stream it online for free. Fuck.
I mean, you could.
I
but-
can give you
just-
a couple links, dude.
All right, before we go too far down that rabbit hole, let's go
Yeah.
towards the NFL and another guy, one of Dallas you were high on, Mr. Cam Newton himself.
Yeah.
He goes out and completes 9 passes for under 100 yards, 3 picks. I think past couple weeks he's like 0 touchdowns, 5 picks.
Yeah.
He gets ultimately benched for Stidham, whatever you want to call him. The Patriots have fallen to 2-4. What do you have to say to defend your honor with Cam? Obviously, anytime, if anyone knows me, they know I'm just not he had a great season, MVP season, 2015 win Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Since then, Von Miller and the boys have broken him, in my opinion, and he has not looked good. He looked good running the ball. Obviously, if New England wants to win, I feel like they have to run the ball every fucking play. That's what they have to do.
Well, absolutely. And like speaking from coming from the UFC talk here, I want to take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody. All right? Cam Newton should have won that game. The problem is Cam Newton is trying to steer a sinking ship in New England. New England, the dynasty's over, guys. I hate to say it. Put a fork in them. I think it's over. Now, you did have a ton of their players that sat out because of COVID. And is Cam playing great? No, he's not.
No, he's bad. He looks real bad.
Right. He does not look good. And with Cam, you don't want to jump to say, oh, maybe it's injuries because the guy's battled them for the last 5 years, it seems like. And I'm not going to put that on him because it just seems like a cop-out. The guy has played terrible the last 2 weeks and absolutely deserved to be benched. But, I mean, I defend that play. That was the right play to bet on New England.
Can I say something about the New England Patriots?
Please.
All right. So a lot of times you get into GOAT talks, right? There's GOAT this, GOAT that. And a lot of times the greatest of all time quarterback lines up with a supposed greatest of all time coach. And you have to wonder, you have to think out loud, who's really the catalyst for success in that system.
Yeah.
And I think we are seeing that while Bill Belichick is a great coach that is undoubted to win 6 Super Bowls and be the defensive genius that he is, you're starting to see that even Tom Brady may have been the more important piece of that puzzle.
Yeah, that was a big question going into this season. We didn't know which side of the coin was going to prevail.
Yep.
With Bill and old Thomas down there in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But I mean, granted, like you said, that's a sinking ship up there in New England. It looks like they're
done. It looks like it.
Their best player. We'll touch on this in a second. Stephon Gilmore. He's not had the season he had last year, and whether that be a direct reflection of just the team as a whole, or just maybe and Bill's been always good about dealing his players out right before they start sucking.
Absolutely.
So, and that's another topic.
He's not afraid to do it a year early too. Whereas a lot of teams, even like the Steelers, will keep a guy a year too late. Whereas Belichick, he doesn't care. He said, "I'll lose a year of production to have something better further down the road, or just to not get tied up in salary cap."
Yep.
So. But it looks like, and honestly, it seems like the biggest problem in New England right now is about 5 years of terrible drafts. Now you don't have, the GOAT to steer the ship and just kind of wipe away a lot of mistakes that the organization has made. And it's really coming true now. You see it pretty bad.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah,
we kind of talked about culture in the last episode. Tom Brady is a guy that brings culture. He demands excellence. That's what he demands on the field. He kept a big personality like Randy Moss in check. He has kept Ocho Cinco came into New England, and you didn't hear a peep out of him. Yeah. That is the kind of command Tom Brady has over the offense. I just think you're seeing that show through. Agree with Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, and with the Patriots, you got Stephon Gilmore, who we talked about, who is following the old Carlos Dunlap blueprint and put his house up for sale. Whether that be because they told him, hey, we're looking to get you the hell out of town, or he just wants to get out because he knows where that organization is headed, it looks like.
Yep.
But that's interesting. We'll see. The trade deadline is next Tuesday, so the offer's got to be in by that day. Do you all see a home for him anywhere?
Well,
I think he's a guy who could fit in anywhere, but do you see a likely home?
Well, what about the 49ers with Richard Sherman still injured? I don't know the updates with his injury, but they could use some help on defense. They played lights out last week, but in that division, you're going to need a guy who could cover, Lockett and Metcalf. And you still have playmakers all across the field with the Rams. I think that would be a pretty good fit. Now, I don't know what they'd get for him. I think New England would take a second-round pick just to say, hey, take the salary. But, who knows?
And they got to have the cap because it's not like he's on a small deal right now. So a team has to have that. So somebody like the Browns even, they have the most cap space in the league.
Bill, I don't see Bill dealing within the division, even in a sinking ship kind of year, to kind of alleviate the chance of that coming back next season or something like that. But how about Seattle? How about a team that has absolutely no defense and needs help, judging by that game the other day? How about Butler to Seattle to give Russ anything on the other side of the ball? Because that team is terrible. They're no longer the Legion of Boom. They're I don't even know what the hell you would call it because they're awful.
Legion of Doomed.
Yeah. ED at the end. Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. So you guys think Patriots dead going forward?
I'd say it looks like a big fat yes right now, but I'm not ready to write off Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know. It's just so hard. I looked at something and
I'd see it.
I think they got like a 9% chance right now to make the playoffs at 2-4. And, Bill Belichick's got to boost that percentage a little bit. But at the same time, we haven't seen this in 20 years, so we don't know how it's going to end. So.
I'm willing to write him off. The Patriots may not win 3 more games all season.
Oh, wow. 3 more games?
3?
They may not win 3 more games this season.
Man, you're going to hate my picks.
All right. So the 49ers, you kind of just talked about them. Last week they did beat the Patriots with a third string running back and Jimmy G throwing for no touchdowns, a couple picks. What is San Francisco doing still to this day? We saw him do it over the past couple years, even when Jimmy G was hurt a couple years ago when old Nick Mullins came in. What do they do that's so dominant? Obviously, they run the ball, but I mean, just is Kyle Shanahan at that level where he's just like the ultimate genius offensive mind? Or, I mean, what are your thoughts on San Francisco and how they continue to win in a division that's you're going to have to keep winning? Go ahead, Dallas. Sorry, but.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what it is about the Shanahans. They just know how to run the ball. They find running backs and they run the ball. And I mean, the 49ers, their run scheme, I guess it's a zone run scheme. I mean, but Shanahan is the offensive genius in the league. I mean, everybody thought it was McVay, and McVay's great. I think he's, doing a really good job. But I mean, Shanahan is, he might be a top 3 coach right now. I mean, I don't know who else you could put above him, really. I mean, other than maybe the top 3 with like Andy Reid, but he's right up there with all of them. Yeah. I mean, honestly. And he just finds guys. I mean, he finds guys, he plugs them in, he'll get 2 games out of them, and then he's off to the next. He's like fantasy football.
Yeah. I mean, you're right, and you hit it exactly. The Shanahans, it's like it's in that blood. They just know how to run the ball. When his dad was coaching the Broncos, they had like a 5-year run where they had 4 different 1,000-yard rushers, something outrageous like that, with undersized linemen and a zone blocking scheme. People tried to replicate it, and they couldn't. They couldn't do it. His staff would go to other places, and they couldn't replicate that scheme. So I don't know what it is about the way that Shanahan mind works, but yeah, he's an offensive genius, and I just think he is scheming that much better than everybody else, where even when he has underwhelming talent on the field, he's still effective. His team is effective. He will never coach his team out of a game.
Yeah, well, 28-3 offensive coordinator.
Yeah, tough times for Shanahan for sure.
Yeah, I think he's learned a little bit, hopefully, from his mistakes, and even last year.
Yeah, if only he had run the ball then.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, we did see what happened to Atlanta as soon as Shanahan left. I mean, just straight fell off a cliff. So,
and he was playing the GOAT. So
yeah,
there's that.
Yeah, there is that. So, yeah. All right. Well, sticking with the NFC West, they have 3 teams with 5 wins right now at 5-2, and the other is those 49ers, who obviously were in the Super Bowl last year, and they're at 4-3. And they're limp dicking their way right now to a 4-3 start. They are just plugging in people and finding a way to win at certain times. So as far as this division, right now we're about to go into the halfway mark. After this week will be half the season. Who wins this division in your opinion? And is this division better than the AFC North with your Steelers? I know you guys, and we talked about it last week a little bit. AFC North probably the best team. But after last week, we saw the Cardinals come out and great game Sunday Night Football. Great game. Oh, yeah. They came out and won, and the Rams, beat a Bears team who I frankly was like kind of scared of. So, and then the 49ers keep rolling. So top to bottom, who do you think? I mean, what are your thoughts on these 2 divisions and who wins it, the NFC West ultimately? Go ahead, Ben, you can start.
I'll say this, man, that I'm always going to go with the best quarterback in that conference. It's a quarterback-driven league. So Russell Wilson, I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. That's the smart play. Last week, I called the Cardinals having a coming-out party with Kyler Murray and him establishing himself as a real quarterback and a threat to that division. But Russ is the king. He's wearing the crown. That's it. I mean, he is the king of that division, and until somebody forcefully takes it from him, and I just don't trust the Cardinals to do that right now. I think they have a lot of talent, but I don't think they're ready to get there. I think the 49ers are beat up. I think the Rams are maybe playing a little over their head right now. Maybe a little bit better than they really are. I mean, I hate to say that to
easy,
but when it comes down to it, they're an NFC team. They're an NFC division. AFC North is the best division in football. It has been for years. It will always be one of the best divisions in football just because the makeup of those teams. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the top. Storied history. Every time they're good, it's good for the league. You have the Baltimore Ravens, who also have, in their short time, a storied history. When they're good, it is good for the league. You have a very highly touted prospect who's showing up right now in Joe Burrow. He's there too. When he is your worst quarterback, Yeah, I love him. When he's the quarterback of the worst team in your division, you have a just absolutely electric division.
Yeah.
And then you have the Browns, who are stacked with talent. They're stacked with talent. So you can't even though they're going to find ways to lose games, you can't count them out without thinking about it. You have to legitimately think about it because they're one of the best teams in the NFL on paper in terms of talent they have. So the NFC West, yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of good talent there. The AFC North, the crown lies in the North.
I respect it. Got to stick with your boys. Hey, I respect it.
I mean, look, I love the AFC North. I think it's the toughest division to win. Now, the NFC West right now is the best division in football, though. I think it might be the first time you see 4 teams, all teams in the division, actually make the playoffs. With the 17 format, I mean, it could happen. If the Niners start getting healthier, they have the best quarterback in the league. I mean, if it's him or Mahomes, I mean, it's 1A, 1B. And 1A right now is Russell Wilson. The guy can do no wrong. I mean, he had a shaky night the other night, but I mean, he's doing a lot. And the AFC North has the worst quarterback of the 2 divisions. Baker Mayfield is the worst quarterback. We also have the youngest quarterback with Joe Burrow. Maybe not youngest in age, but youngest in experience. And as much as I think Joe Burrow's a stud, I don't think he's quite ready to make that step because they are really bad. They are terrible. And the Browns aren't as good as their record says they are.
Yeah, I mean, they've played the Bengals twice and one possession game both times. But that's neither here or there. I would say, I mean, I have to agree with you, Dallas. I mean, from top to bottom, you're right. You made a good point. That is the toughest division to win. You're going to have to only lose 2 or 3 games to win that division. And it just speaks to these games coming up that are going to be these divisional games. They're going to be so important for both of those divisions, like especially in the NFC West, because like if we're only gauging for what we have so far, but the other teams in that wild card spots, there's going to be 3 wild card spots. So say obviously the NFC West is going to get 1 in at least, probably 2. You could probably mark down 2 for sure. The other teams in NFC that you're looking at is either going to be the Bucs or the Saints, whoever doesn't win that division. You can look at the Bears, but I think they kind of fall off or start to fall off. Hey, absolutely. By the way, don't sleep on the Lions. 3-3 right now, got a somewhat favorable schedule coming up, but I'm just going to put that out there.
They have a very good schedule coming up, but the problem is Matt Patricia is still their head coach.
He's awful. He's awful.
Yeah, and then I mean, we talked about it. I have a bet with the Browns going to the playoffs or not. It's not looking good for me right now, just because the Browns' schedule is so easy. I mean, the Rams and the NFC West have easy schedule this year too, but you look at that schedule for the Browns in the next 5-6 weeks. Whew.
Yeah, I think the AFC North got lucky this year with the easiest schedule on paper coming into the season. And I mean, it's only coming true now. We're playing a lot of cupcakes.
Yeah, same with the NFC. The Rams, 4 of our 5 wins are the NFC East. So I'm still not completely sold on them being like a contender at this point, obviously. But I do like what I see so far. So
all you got to do is get in.
That's right. Anything can happen once you're in.
All right. So real quick, just to end that NFC West conversation, Russell Wilson. I mean, does he have to be absolutely perfect for them to win? We saw what happened last week. 3 picks, I think. And they take an L finally. That defense finally is like, all right, we're going to give up a loss. Jesus Christ. Does he have to be perfect pretty much game in and game out for them to keep winning, especially in this division? Go ahead.
Well, I don't know if he has to be perfect, but he needs to have straight A's on his report card or it is a wrap. He is not going to, they're not going anywhere without him doing everything at least 95%. Because, I mean, perfect, you can't expect anybody to do that week in and week out. But, I mean, he does have great receivers. Their running game is suspect. The offensive line has gotten better than it's been historically. But, I mean, that defense is so bad. I mean, what are you supposed to do when you can't stop anybody?
Yeah. And you hit it. I mean, that's the nail on the head. I mentioned it when we were talking about Malcolm Butler. That defense is atrocious. Now, I do think he benefits from being in the NFC. I think the NFC is a little weaker than the AFC, if I'm being honest. Not perfect, but pretty damn good. He's going to have to be pretty damn good in every game for them to keep winning and sustaining and maybe being in the hunt for that number 1 seed.
Yeah.
If they want to be there, which I think they really want to be there. Yeah. So if they're really trying to shoot, they'll be in the playoffs no matter what. And once you're in the playoffs, a defense can play lights out. We've seen it plenty of times in the last 15 years where a defense that's been middle of the road has played lights out in the in the playoffs. So perfect? No. But pretty damn good, yeah. I mean, MVP. If they can't get Malcolm Butler, here's my thought. Put DK Metcalf on defense because Gilmore. Did you see him chase him down?
Yeah, it's Gilmore. You keep saying
Butler. Man. Yeah,
sorry.
Hey, by the way, Malcolm Butler having a good year finally since his Super Bowl interception. Finally for the Titans. He's finally.
Yeah, I know.
Until Claypool put his hand in his face.
Yeah.
Oh, that was funny. I did see that.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. All right. Okay, we'll stick with the NFC, but we'll move to the North. Big Dick Nick does not live up to his name on Monday Night Football. I mean, outside of a Bob Woods fumble, scoop, and score, the Rams were pretty much dominant. Johnny Hecker won that football game, by the way.
Yeah.
In all facets of the game, really. The offense was good enough. Defense played lights out. In my opinion, the way we played 100% in that category. And we play like that soft zone. We run up, we make tackles, we just rely on our big playmakers, and that's going to be high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
But in your opinion, Ben, are the Bears exposed finally? Do you think this is going to be more of a reflection of their season going forward?
Nobody thought the Bears were a good team going into the season. Nobody. So yeah, they're exposed.
Hey, Gibby did. Gibby picked them to win the division.
Listen. Oh, wow. Yeah, Gibby also said the Browns were going to beat the Steelers, be better than the Steelers. So I don't want to. Gibby, he's dead to me. Yeah, Gibby's dead to me. He still has to see me on this show to talk about that for the people to see. But this is where I'm at with it. The Bears are who we thought they were. They are who we thought they were. To quote Denny Green, that is exactly what they are. They're a bad football team. Mm-hmm. And that pains me to say because I like Chicago. I like everything that team represents, its history, but they're just a bad football team, and they have been for a really long time. And they're going to be a bad football team for a really long time because they just can't get it right. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but they just don't get it right. They're suffering a little bit from culture right now, which sucks to say for one of the better franchises in the NFL.
Yeah, look, I love Big Dick Nick. I do, but he came out limp.
He was flaccid as hell, huh?
And I mean, you've seen him in the huddle, and Nagy's calling the plays, and he's just like, "What are we doing?" He's not agree. He doesn't agree with the play calls, and I think Nick can be really successful. And I mean, my comparison with Nick Foles is I think he is the best version of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Whereas if he is really good, he can win you a Super Bowl. He showed it. Now, he can also crash and burn, just like Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, I mean, I don't know what happened there the other night. Thank God I lost big with the Seahawks on Sunday night, or I would have fired a ton on the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, 6 points was a lot for the Rams, I thought, especially against the Bears. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't help when MVP Johnny Hecker comes and pins him inside the 5 like 4 fucking times or something like that. It's going to limit your offensive play calls. So that's a tough look. I think we got to give him another week and give him a chance at another, big time opponent before we just absolutely, crush him. So
100% agree.
Yeah. All right. So we just kind of touched on it. The Browns. Are they going to go to it looks like everything's pointing to they're going to go to the playoffs. With the extra spot, I just don't know who else in the AFC right now it can take that last spot. Before the season, I had the Patriots. That turned out to be a lie.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like they just don't, like you said, they're not as good as their record shows. Mm-hmm. Their wins are against the Cowboys, trash. The football team, trash. The Bengals twice, and the Colts, where Rivers was just throwing crucial picks left and right after they blew a huge lead. Mm-hmm. But they still have the Giants, the Jets, the Eagles, the Jags. I mean, this team looks like they're going to get some wins, and I'm going to end up paying some money.
Yeah.
I mean, we did just talk about it. There's no need to harp on it unless you guys have any final thoughts.
Well, look, the Browns are going to make the playoffs. It's happening. And it's like, I kind of feel bad for Cleveland because they are going to get destroyed in the first round of the playoffs. I don't even care who they're playing. They just better hope the Steelers don't have the 2 seed and that they have the final seed, because it will be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Baker Mayfield may set a record this year, because if they go to the playoffs, I feel like he will set a record, some negative record, like most interceptions in a playoff game. I don't think that team would know what to do if they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, they would walk on the field and be like, we're supposed to be golfing right now.
Exactly.
Like, they're not ready for that, because playoff football is something different entirely. Even in the AFC North, where the ferocity is cranked up to the max a lot, like pretty much through the midway point of the season on, it's like playoff football, because you have to play that way. And
I mean, they do have some dogs, though. I mean, they got Myles Garrett. That dude's a dog, man.
He's a dog, but you know what? In the playoffs, you're fighting lions.
Yeah, I mean,
that
absolutely.
arena, it's I don't know, man. I don't know. The Browns, I think they get smoked by like 20 points easy if they make the playoffs first round.
Yeah, I'd like to see that spread.
Absolutely.
All right. Anyway, we'll go to Tom Brady and the Bucs. They blew out the Raiders. I think the Raiders had 4 points last week, and they ended up winning by 25. Yeah, 45-20. Yeah. My fellow host, Cheech and Gibby, both hammered the Raiders. I went with the Bucs. Do you think that the Bucs, with Tom Brady and everything that they've kind of like progressed towards this year, obviously a couple, shaky losses at the beginning, it's going to take some time. Tom Brady, Bruce Arians are polar opposite player coach matchup. They just don't, not supposed to happen. Do you think everybody, I mean, obviously you turn on ESPN, you're going to see Tom Brady going to the Super Bowl again. They're 5-2 or whatever. I mean, let's tone it down, obviously. But do you think they can be contenders and win the NFC? Like, not just their division, or not just, at least a couple playoff games, or a playoff game, one playoff game even.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go. I'll take it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the best team in the NFC. I mean, they are. They have it on offense. They have it on defense. I thought the only liability on that team was going to be Tom Brady. I mean, I honestly did. And, I mean, you look at him, and now that he has a little more time with that team, he's starting to find these receivers more. The run game looks excellent. The penalties have came down, and the defense is lights out. And, any Tom Brady team, it comes down to what the defense is going to do on the other side of the ball. If they can give Tom Brady a chance to win, he will win the game. And, I mean, as much as I hate Tom Brady, I do. I think they might be in the Super Bowl this year. I do.
Yeah, a couple real quick, Ben, before you talk, just some stats. Since week 3, Tom Brady, 4-1, 15 total touchdowns, 1 interception, 1,454 passing yards. I mean, dude's humming right now. And it's not just the dink and dunk. You've seen him throw the deep ball. Old Scotty Miller out there. Of course, Tom's making no-name receivers. Little white slot guys look good. So,
So, here's my take. Dallas, you're spot on. They might be in the Super Bowl this year, because you can't he is a winner. It's in his DNA. That's just who he is. He knows how to win. This may be the best offense he's ever been a part of, talent-wise. They haven't gelled yet, and you're talking, he was on that undefeated team. He set records with Randy Moss. You look at that talent just on paper. I mean, you got Leonard Fournette as the backup, and the guy's a top 5 draft pick.
That's crazy.
This team is stacked on offense. And you mentioned Bruce Arians, being polar opposite from Tom Brady. If they go somewhere in the middle, the dink and dunk and that high explosion offense that we're really familiar with, because Bruce Arians was a Pittsburgh guy for a while, you're talking about an offense that could set a record-setting pace for the second half of the season. Because they're getting Antonio Brown.
Yeah. Right. And how do you prepare for that as a defense?
You don't.
Teams have been so used to Tom Brady, with the dink and dunk, you got Bruce Arians looking to fire that thing 45 times a game. Yeah. So they're going to find that equilibrium, and it's going to be tough to prepare for. And that defense is no joke either. They have, I think, the best linebacking core, middle linebacking core in the league, with Levante David and Devin White, who's
as long as
they are incredible.
Yeah, as long as Tom Brady's arm holds up and he doesn't get fatigued late in the year, there's not a defense in the NFL that can match up with that offensive skill position group. You mean who has enough defensive backs talented enough to keep up with everybody?
Yep.
Somebody's going to be running free. And that's when you have Gronk, who's the second tight end kind of in that offense right now. Wait until he starts seeing single coverage against no-namers. What are you going to do then? You're talking about arguably the greatest tight end to ever play the game, now getting single covered when he was commanding double coverage in an offense. Everybody knew who it was going to, and now you're going to single cover this man with an average player? That's what you're looking at down the road. That's what you're looking at.
Catching these touchdowns the past few weeks, those over the shoulder fade routes, and
he was the 24/7 champion like 6 months ago.
Yeah, he was
for the WWE.
Well, I mean, look, you have Antonio Brown coming in, and even if he's going to take Scotty Miller's role. I mean, picture Antonio Brown running short, crisp routes and getting passes from Tom Brady. I mean, it's unstoppable. The only way that you have a chance against that team, it's always been Tom Brady's kryptonite. Move him out of the pocket, get him uncomfortable. It's going to be your only chance. And I don't know what NFC team is going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be fun to watch, especially when old AB comes back. I mean, the dude's just electric. I mean, you guys know better than anyone.
Oh, yeah.
Especially after the catch, he can definitely go. So,
Mr. Big Chest.
Yep.
Mr. Big Chest.
All right, speaking of your Steelers, how awesome was that Pittsburgh? That had to be a fun game for you to watch, at least in the first half. I mean, all right, so Ben makes a couple bad decisions. They bottle up Derrick Henry for the most part, hit the under on that, by the way, on his rushing yards. I think Cheech and Gibby had a bet on that. Gibby won that one.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, I think it was like 86 or something, 86 yards. He
didn't even sniff it.
He was at 75. I think he got some
not even close. Garbage time yards.
He got going a little bit in the second half.
Yeah, it was. But ultimately, the Steelers did enough to stay the only undefeated team in the league right now. What were your overall thoughts, Ben, for that game? What do you think going forward? I mean, that's a tough opponent to play. And obviously, first half, second half, kind of but what do you think?
I got two takes on this. And first, let's go back to December 21st, 2008. You don't stomp on a terrible towel. The Tennessee Titans are cursed. They will never beat the Pittsburgh Steelers again while they exist. They could survive COVID. You're not surviving the curse of Myron Cope. You don't stomp a towel. You don't do it. You're on notice. Tennessee Titans, LeGarrette Blount. He's the one that did it. On the sidelines. Yeah. You know what? Here's how it goes.
And Lendell White, I thought it was.
And Lendell White, yeah. Yeah, it was Lendell White. You stomped on a terrible towel.
Mm-hmm.
Done.
He hasn't been in the league since.
He hasn't been in the league, and the Tennessee Titans can't even come close to beating the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
Now that second half, first off, I'll say this: the Tennessee Titans, they're phonies. That's what they are. They're
pretenders, huh?
You want to come up and play tough guy football against the Pittsburgh Steelers? Well, step up, son, because you just got knocked the fuck out. Derrick Henry likes to stiff arm little D-backs. Well, he met Vince Williams in the hole and flinched. I said it in the last episode. I said Vince Williams is the key to this game because he was second in the league in tackles for loss. He met Derrick Henry, the supposed best running back in the NFL, and now he's number 1 in the NFL for tackles for loss. So Derrick Henry can take his big ass home and lift some more weights, do something, and try to find the next little guy to pick on because when he sees number 98 in the hole in the playoffs, he's going to stick him again.
Oh.
Yeah, look, Derrick Henry even got stuffed by number 41, backup linebacker.
A white guy.
Spillane.
Yeah.
Robert Spillane. Look, don't see a black and yellow jersey in the middle of the line. You are not getting through. It's over.
That was a goal line stand, huh?
Goal line.
Yeah.
And honestly,
Stuffed
I think
him.
this game put TJ Watt as number 1 for Defensive Player of the Year.
Got it. Absolutely.
I mean, he was everywhere. The guy is insane. He'll get your snap count down. It doesn't matter. And now you have Big Ben, who had some shaky moments. I would say a couple of those picks aren't as much on him. But I will also say that he found another receiver. We didn't rely on Claypool. It was, this week it's going to be Deontay Johnson. We've had a different leading receiver every single week. The run game has been moving. Connor has been fairly impressive. I mean, all cylinders right now. And I mean, I don't know how you stop this Pittsburgh Steelers team.
And I'll say that Dallas knows better than anybody. Ben Roethlisberger, to me, Every time he makes a mistake, I blow up the group chat.
Yeah,
I go, here we go again.
This week.
Here we go again. Here we go. Because Ben has done this throughout his career. Really, for the last 5 years, he's not been clutch. He's not been Big Ben. He's been Ben Roethlisberger, the stat collecting quarterback. That's what he's been. Now, I hope this game is a wake-up call for him, and he kind of realizes, like, there are times that I'm going to have to play smarter football instead of throwing into triple coverage. There are times when I have to ice the game and not drop one in the back of the end zone. There are going to be times where he has to realize he is 100 years old and is not the gunslinger he used to be. So, go ahead.
Big Ben will always be a gunslinger. Have you not watched this man for the last 15 years? I don't care if he's 45 years old. I still want him slinging it because that's when he's at his best.
I mean, I don't think you should shit on Ben because we saw the alternatives last year.
I mean, come on. He's like, let's start Duck. Let's put Duck in.
I never said. That was a joke. That was a joke, and you know it.
Was hilarious. It was hilarious. I'll give you that.
That was a joke. Listen, Ben Roethlisberger is the best quarterback on the team, and he's played better than I thought he would.
I hope so.
Nice of you to say.
But he has played better than I thought he would. I mean, I thought he was going to be, after elbow surgery at that age, with all the hits he's taken in his career, I thought he was going to be a shell of his former self, and he has not been. He's been very good this year, but he has still made some of those really bad plays that he's made the last 5 years. And in those last 5 years, they haven't been in the playoffs. So that's something you got to remember, too. I mean, everybody can say, he's playing lights out. It's just a one-off thing. It hasn't been a one-off thing. It's been a 5-year thing. So I understand when people get after me for criticizing Big Ben, but the guy is not when he used to be. And I'm hoping this is the year where he realizes, oh, wait, I am a 2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. I have taken a team on my back to good records. And without the ghost, the shadow of Tom Brady in the AFC, this is his time. This is the end of his window.
I think it has freed him up a little bit. Now that Brady's gone, it's like, we actually have a chance again. Yeah. There was a time where Big Ben thought he was better than Brady. I don't know if you recall his goal when Brady still had 3 Super Bowls, he said, I want to have more Super Bowls than Brady when I retire. Now, obviously, that will never happen now. Never. But, I mean, you think 8 years ago, it was a real possibility for him.
Yeah. Maybe, hey. So, all right, you're not a big fan, Mr. Ben over there, Big Ben. The same name, Ben, Big Ben's. Hey, what if they go out and sign they go out and trade for a backup quarterback then, they know what they're working with their backups. Maybe they kick him to the curb, send a 6th-rounder to Miami, get old Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Nah, so and I love Fitzmagic. I do. I would have rather had him as a backup quarterback last year than either one of the guys we had, even though Duck Hodges he played over his head in some games, especially that Cleveland Browns game close to the end of the season after the Mason Rudolph incident. He played a that game, outduel Baker Mayfield. But the Steelers are all in on Ben Roethlisberger. His contract numbers say that. They're a young team that I do think this is his last year. I do. After he finishes up this year, they're going to have to endure a bad year and be in the running for a guy like Trevor Lawrence. Because you look at all the young talent, if they onboard a young quarterback in the next 2 years, that's a team that's instantly back in the run. If you have a young quarterback that comes in and leans on the talent, a guy that, and I will give Ben Roethlisberger credit on this. He distributes the ball. He distributes the ball much better than he used to. That, like Dallas said, different receiver every week. He got Juju back involved last week, and Juju has been silent all year.
I mean, Deontay Johnson looked great this week.
Like a world beater.
Great. Yeah. Looked great.
Yeah, and then he got hurt. Is that dude always hurt?
Yeah, always. He's paper thin, man.
Always.
Glass jaw.
Downy. He's soft.
Yeah. Soft as baby shit. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we talked about the Tennessee game. This week, your Steelers go up against the Baltimore Ravens. In Baltimore, let's give a little preview to the people. I want to know who has the advantage at each area. All right, so we can start off. First off, how excited are you for this game?
I mean, this is the game you circle on the schedule every year. You see Baltimore twice, you circle it. It doesn't matter. Throw the records out. I know that's cliche. Throw them out. It doesn't matter what the records are. It is going to be close, and it is going to be physical. I don't expect every player to come out of this game healthy. And I mean, you go into that. I mean, that's just what happens every time you play. Something's going to happen. And it's never, it's never unsportsmanlike. It's just physical, brutal football.
Yep. So I look at, like, how excited am I? I think of some big moments, right? I think of when Rashard Mendenhall came into the league and was like, I'm a truck Ray Lewis. And Ray Lewis broke his shoulder in big gap. I think of first play, he was like, welcome to the NFL, and blew this man up. And, I mean, it was awesome to watch. Terrible as on the Steelers side, but it was beautiful football. Clean hit right in the middle, running back to middle linebacker, done. The Hall of Famer won. And then
every
you look at
Steeler fan even said you shouldn't have been talking shit.
The whole week leading up to it, as soon as he said it, we were like, are you fucking crazy? That's Ray Lewis. That's Ray Lewis.
He killed a guy.
He killed a guy.
Yeah, what do you mean?
And then you think of other moments, like when Willis McGahee, he got absolutely annihilated by Ryan Clark, knocked out cold on field. And I'm in full Pittsburgh Steelers fandom mode to the point where you have a purple shirt on and I want to punch you in the face. That's where I'm at with it.
Love that.
I love this game. I love it every year. I think about the great moments, like when Ben Roethlisberger threw 5 touchdowns in the first half a couple years. That was 6 years ago, I think.
Yep.
So there have been some blowouts in this, the exciting blowouts, but a lot of times it's a closely contested game. That's in the regular season and the playoffs, and you just can't go wrong watching this football game. The teams know each other so well. They know the style so well, especially with Tomlin being one of the higher tenured league coaches in the league, and you have Harbaugh over there on the other side. They've been there so long. The schemes don't change that much even when assistants leave. It's one of the more intimate rivalries in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it seems that I think almost – for the most part, everyone's healthy. Like, there's no, like, real big, like, game-changing people that are out this week. Mark Ingram, I think, is not going to play. I don't know. I think he's still
100.
questionable. He's good?
He's 100. No, he's 100 years old.
Oh, yeah. But I'm just trying to throw out some players. But, all right, so who has the advantage at the quarterback position? Ben, know how you feel, obviously. I fucking hate Ben Roethlisberger. But
yeah, it's Lamar.
It's Lamar. I mean, I had to side with you, Dallas. Do you agree with that?
I would say Lamar Jackson is probably the better quarterback right now. I mean, just, in terms of ability. But, I mean, you can't pay for experience, man. And Big Ben has a ton of it. He's played this game 16 times, 32 times? How many times has he played the Ravens? I mean, no moment will be too big in this game for him, whereas it might be for Lamar. So I'm going to give the edge to Ben right now.
Okay. Yeah, I respect that too. I mean, I look at it as I have Lamar in a fantasy league. I know people are like, going up against the Steeler defense. No, I think Lamar's going to be running for his life in this one. So I love the yards he's going to get on the ground. I think he's going to get like 80 to 100 yards rushing. But obviously they're going to have a spy. Devin Bush being out, though, could affect it. We'll see.
Absolutely.
All right, the weapons, just overall weapons, skill positions, running backs, wide receivers. Ben, who you think has the upper hand in this category?
I don't think it's even close. The Pittsburgh Steelers are stacked on offensive skill positions. You look at the 2 tight ends they have. You look at all the receivers they have. They've stockpiled. They draft receivers better than any team in the NFL, and they're just stockpiled. Whereas Juju Smith-Schuster, who everybody thought was a surefire superstar in this league, is arguably their 3rd best receiver. So when you look at it like that, and James Conner playing great. So and Benny Snell has 1 or 2 great games in him a year.
Yep.
He does. He's that kind of guy. He's not a starter, but he's got good games in him throughout the year. So when you look at how that offense is built, and you look at the offensive line, Marquise Pouncey is probably the best center in the NFL. Nobody can convince me otherwise just because of the way his brain operates and the fact that he acts like an enforcer. That's the same guy that ground and pounded Myles Garrett after he went after Mason Rudolph. The man
somebody had to after that. Somebody
in the
had
trenches.
Right.
Go ahead, Dan.
Well, skilled position-wise, I mean, James Conner, who isn't by any means the best running back in the league, but he's the best running back in this game. I mean, what's that say about the state of the Ravens running backs? J.K. Dobbins hasn't hit. Gus Edwards he's okay, I guess. He's a good 3rd down running back.
He hasn't got his opportunity, I think.
But
you're right.
Skill-wise, right now, James Conner is playing great this year. I know because I have him in fantasy football, and he's on my football team. But,
exactly.
I mean, James Conner's playing great right now. I mean, the Steelers receivers, what more can you say about him? I think that the Ravens have the edge at tight end, obviously, with Andrews. But I mean, other than that, man, I mean, the Steelers have weapons all over the field.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I think this is not a surprise to anyone after, you look at the Ravens roster on offense, especially. You're not Willie Snead. I mean, we talked about it, I think, last week too. So no disagreement from me there. What about that offensive line? Dallas, you want to take this one? What do you think? Who has the advantage I mean, you can go ahead and compare D-line. Obviously, Pittsburgh got a great D-line. You can go ahead and compare that D-line against the O-line, or who do you think has the advantage in the trenches?
I would honestly call this one a dead even draw. I think that both of these offensive lines are really good. I mean, they're not rattled with injuries right now. I know DeCastro is battling an injury, and Doxson, who we just drafted in the third or fourth round, is one of the highest graded PFF pass blockers, which is crazy for a rookie in the fourth round.
Yeah.
I mean, the Ravens, look, linemen love to run block, and the Ravens are going to run it a lot. So I think it's pretty much a draw, a standstill at this point. I mean, the question really comes when you get to defensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Steelers have the better offensive line. I don't think it's dead even because I do think Marquise Pouncey is one of the better leaders in the NFL offensive line-wise, and I think that's the overall deal breaker there for me. It's when you add a guy like that who's worn the C on his chest for a while, he's just a monster. So I think the Steelers have a better offensive line.
Yeah, and then the D-line, these D-lines are both great. I mean, they're both maybe the top two D-lines in the league now that the Ravens have traded for Ngakoue.
Yeah.
I mean, they both are so good with those outside linebackers like you all talked about. So I imagine you all have if I had to guess, you give Pittsburgh the slight upper hand maybe. I don't know what you're thinking there.
On defensive line, I think if we're just talking specifically about defensive line, I would give the Ravens the edge.
Okay.
They have a lot of skill up front.
Yeah.
I mean, they do. I mean, those guys are reckless.
Big
Much as I love Cam Hayward, for a long time, I thought he was the best player on our team, not to mention the best player on our defense up until about 3 or 4 years ago. And so, I mean, as much as I love Cam Hayward, I mean, really all the action for us comes from linebackers.
Yeah. And, you pretty much hit it. I mean, you got Tyson Alualu, who moved to nose tackle this year, playing out of his mind. You have Stephon Tuitt staying healthy, knock on wood, playing out of his mind because he is an absolute freak on that 3-4 defensive line. You have Cam Hayward, a beast.
Love him.
But I agree. I mean, especially when you add Ngakoue on the other side of the Ravens D-line, that's a lot of talent.
I know. I mean, that's
slight
so
edge to the Ravens. Slight edge to the Ravens. That's a stacked
How are you going
D-line.
to trade for him?
Yeah, it's
how the Jags let that happen? Trading the division like that.
Geez.
Fucking the audacity of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, it is very close, but
or
I give the
Vikings. Wait, because he got traded from the Jaguars to the Vikings. I'll correct myself.
Now,
Yeah.
A couple stops there in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, what about the secondary? What do you think, Ben? Who has the edge here?
It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not even close.
The Pittsburgh? Did you say that on purpose?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, I figured.
Not even close.
It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Not
I
even
don't know.
close.
I mean, you got some playmakers on that.
You got the jump man himself, Joe Hayden, who's playing out of his mind right now. Knows when to take the PI because that's a skill.
It is.
Knowing when to take the PI is a skill.
Field position.
When you're covering the top guy, you have Terrell Edmonds, who's playing very well this year in comparison to what he's done so far. You have Minkah Fitzpatrick, who, I mean, he's an All-Pro.
Yeah, one of the best ball hawks in the league for sure.
He really is. I mean,
sidebar, real quick.
Yeah.
Is Budda Baker one of the best defensive players in the league?
Out of nowhere, the guy is fantastic. I mean, he's been everywhere the last 2 weeks. I mean, everywhere he is, there is something happening. It's been crazy, and honestly, good for them for finding somebody.
Yeah, I mean, so go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, after you pay a guy, my dog's going crazy for anybody listening. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
You pay a guy the highest, salary for his position ever, and then he comes out and the dude got like his head decapitated the other night on Sunday Night Football. He comes in and makes like 8 straight tackles. I mean, he's just crazy. But go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I mean, like what you said, when you find a guy out of nowhere like that, I love stories like that. When guys come out of nowhere. I mean, that was kind of like James Harrison. James Harrison was a practice squad guy cut by the Ravens. and then ended up being one of the most dominant pass rushers of the decade. So you love when guys come out of nowhere. Yeah, cut by the Bengals too. You love when guys come out of nowhere. Great pickup. One of the best players in the league. Just right now, how he's playing right now.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. So I had to throw that in there. After watching him, actually watching every single play of the Cardinals last night or the last week on defense, it's hard not to give that dude a lot of respect. Even though DK Metcalf just fucking.
I mean, is he the best defender in the league? What was that? That's insane.
Would he lead the league in tackles? I don't know. I'm not sure if DK Metcalf wouldn't lead the league in tackles.
I mean, we all remember the picture that came out of him pre-draft, and he looked like a circus animal. Like, what is this? He looked like Captain America.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, he falls in the draft because they say he can't run routes, and now he looks like he might be the best receiver in the league. It's just crazy.
He's in there. He's in that elite grouping for sure.
I know before the season we did some fantasy football rankings on the show, and we were kind of talking about how players get picked just because they're a big name or they're on some memes or something like that. Like there's going to be somebody who reaches for DK Metcalf was one of those guys that were like, yeah, somebody's going to reach early just because they know he's fast, they know he's big. Turns out the nosebleed guys were dead wrong, and we were the idiot. So, whoever picked him, I mean, you're probably, I'd say, top 4 in your league right now. So
right,
that is false because I have him and I'm not.
Well, you traded for him.
Yeah, I just traded for him.
You got
to the party late.
Anyway, I think we were talking about secondaries in the game, the Ravens Pittsburgh game. So you like Ben? You like the Steelers?
Yeah, Steelers by a big gap.
Well,
big gap for you.
Steelers secondary is definitely better. I mean, with Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden, Steven Nelson. I think Terrell Edmonds is very good. I don't think he's great. But I mean, the Ravens, between Humphrey and Peters, I think those are 2 great cover corners. So, I mean, it's not like they have a bunch of bums. And they have a pretty young defense. I mean, when we get to linebackers, we'll talk about the guy on their team that I love. But, yeah, I mean, they're going to be better. I mean, I hate it.
Yeah. I think it's kind of close. I think obviously Pittsburgh does have the names there, but the pressure that Baltimore is going to be able to apply, and I think I just think they're going to be able to put a lot of pressure on Ben, and I think Ben is going to be making those mistakes at points in the game because we saw it last week. He almost kind of like, single-handedly got them back into the game there. So
he was the MVP of the game for the other team.
Yeah. So just for this game's sake, I will say I think it's kind of a draw though. I'm that's why I'm excited to see it because as a big Louisville guy, a big Lamar guy, obviously you can't like Louisville without liking Lamar. I want to see him play these big games and prove himself because I know he could do it. I mean, he did it in college, going head up against Deshaun Watson, took them to the promised land, the game-winning drive, and then the fucking dude stepped out of it. Anyway, that's for another time. But, I'm excited to see this. But we'll head to the linebacker position. Dallas, it seemed like you want to talk about that.
The Pittsburgh Steelers linebacking core is the best in the league, even with Devin Bush out, which is insane. I mean, Spillane came in, and you're not asking him to do too much, but I mean, T.J. Watt and Bud Dupree on the edge. Yeah. I mean, is there anything – if you're playing them, is there anything scarier than that? I don't know if there is. I mean, it's the most threatening – 2 most threatening defensive players in the league. And I think the Ravens – they drafted a guy this year who I said before the draft I think is going to be a superstar, and that is Patrick Queen out of LSU. I thought the guy was awesome. I thought he was undervalued, and he is just such a Raven. I hate it.
I mean, that's a good category to be in. It's a big shoes to fill, man. I mean, I feel like any middle linebacker, you're like, fucking Ray Lewis playing. I got to fill. And C.J. Mosley was no like sleazebag. His dude was really good. I mean, he doesn't want to play in New York, obviously, but
who does?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I mean, linebackers. You're talking about 2 teams that have a history of great linebackers. I mean, you look at the very beginning where you had Peter Boulware and Ray Lewis. You had Terrell Suggs hold the mantle. You know Mosley, and they just know
Bart Scott.
Yeah, Bart Scott. You know how to get good linebackers. It's just in them for some reason. I don't know. There are teams that'll go 20 years without having one decent linebacker out of all 3 or 4, depending on the defense they run. The Steelers and the Ravens almost always have an above average the basement is above average for these two teams in terms of linebacking core. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, like, they have the best outside linebacker combo in the league, and it's not close. It's not close at all.
Yeah.
TJ Watt is probably the defensive player of the year right now. And then you add the
Myles
fact
Garrett.
that Vince Williams is playing out of his mind, an old school thumper that attacks the A gap, rushes the quarterback, puts the biggest, hardest running, in theory, Derrick Henry to me, soft.
Whoa.
Soft.
Met
a
come
grown
on
man
now.
in the hole. Met a grown man in the hole and flinched.
How many grown men has he thrown to the ground, though? You can't just come out and say Derrick Henry's
D-backs,
soft,
defensive
man.
backs.
Have you ever
Defensive
seen his
backs.
high school stat line? It's incredible.
Yeah,
He had
playing
like
kids.
450 yards a game or something?
Kids.
Yeah. He had a game with 45 carries and 500 yards. I mean, come on.
Ridiculous.
And then he met Vince Williams. That's what happened.
He met Bobby Spillane.
Bobby Spillane stuffed him on the goal line. Bobby Spillane didn't even start in grade school.
Well, Bobby Spillane actually got his shoulder dislocated on that play also.
Yeah.
But you need guys like that. You need
Worth
guys.
it.
So-
Worth it.
But
Yeah.
it goes into what I'm saying. You look at the linebackers they have and just the type of ferocity they play with.
Yeah.
Bobby Spillane, right? This dude's a no-namer. Nobody knew who this man was, and he sized up a big, hard-running Derrick Henry and popped him in the A-gap. Even the guys that are not all-stars and superstars, and they're just guys that have to step up, they're playing better. They're playing ferocious.
Yep.
That's something you can't really account for. They're in a moment right now where it's just nobody's going to match that group right now. They might be the best group at their position in the NFL, period, other than the receivers for the Buccaneers.
When Devin Bush is in the lineup, it's the best Steeler linebacking core of my lifetime. I mean, it just is. I don't even think it's close, honestly. As much as Harrison was a great individual force, I mean, that core together is just, and they're young, and they're fast, and they're great.
Yeah, the only linebacking core of our lifetime close to that would be the Lamar Woodley, James Harrison, James Ferrier core, where they, interchanged that other middle linebacker a couple times, the Vince Williams spot.
Love James Ferrier.
I figured you guys would get a hard on for that linebacking segment right there. So I saved that one for last. So I'm glad you guys got to unleash that somewhere here on a Nosebleed Perspective. All right. Well, real quick, if you want to give me your heads up winner for that, just straight up, who do you think wins that game? Obviously, you can assume who you think will win. But the Baltimore Ravens are favored by 4 points as of right now. First off, Dallas, who is your winner with the spread? 4 points for the Ravens, and who is your winner heads up?
I saw this line, and I couldn't believe it was 4. This is a field goal game if I've ever seen one in my life. I don't know why it's 4. So, I mean, at that point, you got to take the Steelers just because the points are huge, and they are undefeated. As much as I think the Ravens are a really good team, I mean, we are built to beat the Ravens. That's what this roster was built to do. So, I mean, that line did not make sense to me. I thought it should have been 2.5, 3. But I'm taking the Steelers with the points, and I'm going to sprinkle that money line also because get on the wagon now, boys. The trains are moving. If you want to go to the top, hop on the bandwagon now.
That's a good point. Ben, what do you think?
Steelers win by a touchdown. That's brass tacks of it. Steelers win by 7. I do think that linebacking core, TJ Watt of the year 2020, introduces himself to Lamar Jackson early and often. I feel like they get flustered playing from behind. Lamar Jackson has not traditionally played well from behind.
Nope.
And we'll see how that goes. As long as Ben Roethlisberger can maintain his cool and play at the good Ben, not bad Ben. The good Ben, if that guy stays in the game, Steelers win by a touchdown easy. Because if you can't establish the run, I hate to tell you, Pittsburgh Steelers are coming at you like dogs.
Yeah, I think you have to take the Steelers +4. I mean, come on. It's kind of disrespectful in a way. I mean, we saw how the Ravens played against the Chiefs in a big-time game. I mean, just got obliterated in every facet of the game. And then 4 points? 4 points.
Listen.
Don't think Mike Tomlin does not know that is the line. He's been using it all week in practice. Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah. And I'll say this. The only thing that could make this more of a lock for the Steelers to win this game outright is if J.K. Dobbins and Lamar Jackson put out a TikTok of them stomping on a terrible towel. That's the only way this could be more of a lock.
So we're about to go into our locks of the week. Is this one of your locks?
It is absolutely 100% one of my locks, and I'm not going to put this as a lock. Give me the 4 points. I'm not going to lock it in money line, but I will be betting on it money line.
Fair enough. Well, we are to that point in the show where we will do our locks of the show. If you want to pick one out while we're talking about the first couple besides that last one, go ahead, feel free to do so. But we'll start with you, Ben. Let the people know where to put their money this week. Once again, I know you're trying to redeem yourself, you said at the beginning of the show. So where are we putting our money? What are your 3 locks of the week? If they only have 2 because of the Steelers, we just talked about that, obviously.
So, well, the Steelers game was so disrespectful that I couldn't even put it on my lock of the week because how dare you? How dare you, Las Vegas? But we talked a little bit about Detroit earlier. I like Detroit to win outright this week. I mean, they seem like they're finding ways to stay in games and then win certain games. So I just like Detroit to win outright this week. Next lock I got Tennessee. Tennessee, they got a 5.5 point spread. I like them to win by 10 after getting just beat down by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. I think they come out angry, reestablishing themselves as a force in the AFC because they are. I mean, I called them phonies, and I do think they don't match up well with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that in that sense, they are phonies. They're not a power running team that met a defense capable of stopping a power running team makes you look bad. So I do think Derrick Henry is going to run hard and often, and Tannehill plays lights out kind of like he has been all year. So I like Tennessee to win,
and they go against the Bengals, and the spread is 5.5, so a touchdown will cover that, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And a Carlos Dunlap-less team. And Geno Atkins has very much voiced that he doesn't like the way he's being utilized down there. So
yeah,
that might be a D line he just absolutely runs through and has a high school football game like Dallas mentioned. So
yeah. And then I do have one more lock of the week, but it's not football.
Oh,
on Halloween.
Oh,
Saturday night in the UFC.
Let's go.
Arguably the greatest fighter to ever walk in that octagon is doing his farewell fight. Anderson the Spider Silva.
Oof.
For Halloween, he's dressing up as Anderson Silva from 2010. He's going to go in there, and he is going to win outright in a retirement fight. That man deserves to go out on a win. It's the good story. And I don't think he keeps his chin out as much this time. He's lost to some guys that have fought killers. He's not fighting a killer in this fight. So I like Anderson Silva to win this fight, and I will bet big on that fight.
You're going to have me lose more UFC money this weekend as well.
Hey, I was right. I was right this week.
Hey, give him some credit now.
Look, I'll give him right on the pod. He was right. But if you look at the text that I got 10 minutes before the fight, it was not very put the money on Khabib by submission.
I got really into our conversation on this podcast last week where I was like, fire on Gaethje. Fire on him. But Khabib, I mean, I said it. Khabib was the smart money. Khabib by decision or submission. That was the smart money because the man was just he's a monster. I like Anderson Silva to come out and show that he is still one of the deadliest men on the planet.
It's a good lock.
Hey, I like it. So you talked about, you said the Titans over the Bengals?
Yeah. Titans over the Bengals by 10.
The Lions are +3 against the Colts as of right now.
Take them on the money line.
Okay, yep. And Anderson Silva. Okay. All right, I appreciate that. Hey, so real quick before you go into yours, Dallas, the Colts have been like low-key the quietest team in the NFL, I'd say right now, because has anyone spoke a word about the Colts at all? Obviously they were on bye, but they were was it 3-1, 4-1? They only had one loss. They went up to the Browns. Browns came back and beat the hell out of them. Phillip Rivers is Phillip Rivers they signed him for a 2-year deal, $25 million. Does he play next year? Does he finish the season?
I think you're going to see him in the booth somewhere. I think he would make a great color analyst for one of these. Put him on Monday Night Football, even though I actually kind of like the Monday Night crew.
Yeah, Steve Levy and Louis Riddick and Brian Greasy, they do a pretty good job, better than the last couple of years.
Steve Levy fan. So I think if they do end up replacing one of those guys, I wouldn't be surprised to see Steve Levy and Phillip Rivers in that booth. But I do think Phillip Rivers will be in the booth. Maybe not next year because he has a lot of kids. That's a lot of food you got to buy. So I think he might have to wait for another year. He'll finish out that contract.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, he comes back next year, even if it's on the bench, because he's got 48 kids. He needs that NFL quarterback money to put any of them through community college.
Right.
$25 million, though, for Phillip Rivers.
So, you know why nobody's talking about the Colts? Because they're in Indianapolis. They don't have Andrew Luck, and Phillip Rivers is 100 years old.
Yeah.
That's not a good market. It's just not.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to tell you this. Unless you have Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck, you have a washed-up Phillip Rivers. I'm sorry, that's not a marketable team. That's why nobody's talking about them. They could be undefeated, and they still wouldn't get the kind of coverage an undefeated team should because of what the makeup of that team is. They have no superstars. They're blah. They're a forgettable team.
Yeah.
That is a forgettable team.
I think the Colts they're the only team in the AFC that I can cling on hope to that take that last spot in the playoffs to take away from the Browns. I think they're the only team because the AFC has the best teams, I think, in the NFL, very top heavy, but that's why the Browns are going to sneak in with their easy schedule. I don't know another team off the top of my head, at least, who has the potential to take that place. But
yeah.
Anyway, sorry about that, but go ahead, Dallas. I know you're probably itching for it.
Yeah.
Let the people know where are we
right.
going this week.
So last week I was actually 1-1 on my locks on this pod. I loved New England. I steered you wrong. I apologize, but once again I don't for absolutely nobody. I mean, and then I was big on Green Bay -3.5 against Houston this week. Speaking of the Colts, I love the Colts -3 this week. I love the Colts -3 this week. I think their defense is spectacular. I think they'll be able to run the ball with that offensive line. And Detroit just wants to lose games. Matt Patricia he's a bottom 5 coach. He should be fired any day now. I love the Colts -3 this week. I mean, I'm not going to go super heavy on it, but I love it on the board. And also, I love the LA Rams this week, -3.5 against a young quarterback. Tua, I think you're going to be great eventually, but get that left hand out of here because Aaron Donald will be chasing you down all game. Give me the Rams -3.5 on top of the Steelers +4, Colts -3. Lock it in, bet it all.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I also, the first few weeks I bet the Rams. It was a very back and forth relationship there. And now after last week, I felt really bad because it's always like shitty when I don't know if you guys, but like if you go against your team and then they actually cover, it's just kind of like a whole thing. You're like, oh fuck, man, I'm a terrible fan.
I never bet against my team. I just can't.
Well,
I just pull my hair out,
Yeah, it's just disrespectful. But this week I am hammering the Rams as well.
Oh, I love the Rams.
3.5 points. Come on, I was expecting this to be at least 7.5 or something. I don't know, something. But turns out 3.5 right now. 8 could go up over the next couple of days, but I like them as well. Though they're one of my locks, and also I'll go ahead and give my other two. We do a weekly show before the kickoff on Sunday, and we kind of go through our picks and our locks too. But for the real listeners who are listening this long, they'll hear my locks. I got the Bears +4.5 against the New Orleans Saints. That's probably my biggest. You're like, whoa, what the hell? Yeah. Saints going up there. It's supposed to be 38 degrees this weekend. Looked it up on allweather.com. I'm going out on a whim here, but I really like the Bears to bounce back a little bit. Nick Foles, Matt Nagy have some conversations. Noodle arm Breeze. I don't think
Drew Brees stinks.
I mean, I've been saying this for like 3 years, dude. I couldn't wait to get in front of a microphone and just say it out loud more. And I have. Every time we talk about the Saints, I got to throw in, Drew Brees sucks. He's done. Great person. Seems like he's good.
He's done.
Yeah.
He's already worked out a contract with the NBC. I think he's going to be like the next.
The next Collinsworth.
I love Chris Collinsworth.
I think he's the best in the biz right now.
Chris and Al, Michelle. I actually had a conversation with Michelle Tafoya once in one of my classes. I got lucky. One of my professors was the Arizona Cardinals PR guy, and he had guest speakers in. Fun fact. So I have actually talked to her. My question to Michelle Tafoya was like, what do you guys do that's so much better than that squad up in the Monday Night Football booth? Because they fucking suck.
They stink.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's one to pay attention to. I'm going out on a whim there, but I like it, and I'm locking it in. Actually,
Wait, are you just leaving us out in the drought? What did she say?
She's a modest lady. She's very respectful. She's like, they've been trying. They lost some people, so I was like, come on, I want you to shit on them right now, but it was in front of like 40 people, so
yeah.
Should ask them if they'll ever put her in the Booger Mobile.
Oh my god, dude, Booger McFarland was the worst thing that ever happened to Monday Night Football.
He was bad, and I think he even knew he was bad.
Yeah,
I couldn't handle it. And my last lock is the Packers -6.5 versus the Vikings right now.
Packers this week also.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't think the Vikings are can keep it within a touchdown.
If I picked another football game, that was going to be my third lock.
Yeah, that line's going to move to 7.5 by Sunday. I mean, it has to.
It has to. Right now, I got to talk to my guys when we're locking in ours for our bet for our purposes. But I'm hoping we do today because I love that one. But yeah, that's who I like right now. All right, you guys have any more locks, any more betting, gambling advice for the people going on this weekend?
I have a little bonus, right? And this is going to sound crazy. I like a little teaser this week, a little tease. So this week, you got the Jets. They're giving they're getting 19.5 points this week. The over-under is 49. You got Le'Veon Bell coming back to town. I don't care. I'm going to tease the Jets up to 25.5, and I'm going to tease that down to 43. Where does it lose? I don't think Le'Veon Bell is going to rush for 300 yards this week like a lot of people do. Give me a teaser. Jets plus 25.5, over 43. It's a lock. I'm not locking it in here, but I'm going to bet it.
Oh,
God. I'll give you a crazy lock. How about this? If the Jets win that game outright, I will shave my eyebrows and keep the mustache on this podcast.
If they win it outright,
if the Jets win outright, I'll shave my damn eyebrows on this podcast.
Give them 3 points.
Oh
no, they got to win outright for the eyebrows, brother. They got to win outright for the eyebrows.
Okay. Come on, Jets. We're all Jets fans.
I just became such a big.
I'm just waiting for my inbox to blow up. JETS.
Oh my god, that's incredible. So yeah, I mean, this is a professional football team, and like you said, right now I think it's 19.5.
It's 19.5, and I mean, if it gets to 20, I mean, how do you not fire on the Jets?
I don't know.
I went against them last week, and
I will say I've been going it. I've rolled with the Jets. I think every week, but one or two this whole season, and they have done me dirty every single time. So that spread keeps getting bigger, and I'm like, come on, they got to do something because the Jets. Oh, fun fact.
I love fun facts.
Let me pull this up. I don't want to butcher this for the people. Over the last 20 games, let me see here. Over the last 20 games, there are two teams. I'm going to compare. All right, one is the Jets. All right, 7-13. So are the Cowboys, 7-13.
Wow.
Same record last 20 games.
Good. The Cowboys suck, dude. I love seeing the Cowboys fail. I just love it.
I love saying them be bad, yeah. Because like I said, I think I said it last week, I've not gotten over 1995.
Yeah.
I just Cheech is a Jets fan, our other co-host on this show.
Poor guy.
Yeah, well, he's like, fuck, I'm over it. I can't. He's not handling it well at all, and it's been a long time coming. But after this season, he has right now he's jumped ship to the Chiefs' kingdom right now. So
free agent went to sign with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, can you blame him?
Yeah, but look, at least you know what the thing is, though, is if you're going to jump to another team, here's my suggestion. Don't jump to the team who just won a championship.
Yeah.
If you are going to jump ship, jump to a team who looks like they are on the verge of doing something great. Like if you wanted to jump on the Tampa Bay bandwagon, who hasn't been good in a long time, if you want, jump early. So I would have jumped on the Chiefs bandwagon the year Mahomes was drafted because I was so high on him.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get in now.
I think it's more for the dramatics of the talk, honestly. He's not – I mean, we're all good big sports guys. We're not going to leave our teams. I mean, I sat through a lot of years of Rams struggles. So
yeah, you're stuck. It's like a life sentence.
Can I talk straight to Cheech here for a second?
All right, Cheech, I hope you're listening to this.
Cheech, zoom in on just me. Listen, I know your team sucks. I know you haven't made great picks this year. I know that you thought the Browns were going to be something else, and you're going to have to buy a Minkah Fitzpatrick jersey, which I really look forward to seeing you in. But how dare you leave Fireman Joe or whatever his fucking name is all the way alone in East Rutherford, New Jersey? First off, they're playing in New Jersey. They got it bad enough. You dedicated your life to being a Jets fan. You've made terrible mistakes, but live with those mistakes. One day before you die, in the next 80 years maybe, they'll win something. It won't be a Super Bowl, but they won't win something. But to go to the Chiefs, I'm putting you on notice, Cheech. You know what kind of move that is? Soft.
Oh,
Soft move.
You want to jump ship to a good team? Why don't you come to a team who puts French fries on its sandwiches, who cracks iron cities for fun? We wave yellow towels that we don't even use to clean with. Jump to the Pittsburgh Steelers, dude.
Hey.
We'll never do you wrong. The Chiefs.
I got one for you, Cheech.
Nobody's going to talk about it. The
Chiefs
sucked for 50 years until they got Pat Mahomes. Come on.
Yeah.
Hey, like I
Come
said,
to Steeler Nation.
I got to see how real this is. I think it's more for the dramatics of the group chat, to be honest with you.
I dig it.
Yeah. But yeah, do you all have any more questions before we wrap this thing up for me at all? Anything?
So I have a quick question. You know, we're movie guys.
Okay.
This is a sports podcast. What is your favorite sports movie?
Ooh.
I will say this, and a reason I don't think I would fit in well with it as a normal or a regular, I should say, on the Brass Tacks and Beer podcast. I am not a big movie guy. Like,
really?
I like a good movie, but I'm like very like, I could go 6 months without watching a movie.
You're like,
easily.
I'll throw it on in the background while I'm doing something.
Yeah, just like I'm not a big movie guy, but I will say, let's see. Really, as a kid, loved The Replacements. I like that one a lot.
Right. Absolutely.
But like I said, what's that?
Quicksand.
I just love that movie. I can still watch that one. But honestly, I hate to disappoint you here. I'm more of a series TV show guy. We talked about, the Game of Thrones kind of thing. But, honestly, I don't have a big knowledge in sports movies, though. I'm not going to lie to you. I really don't. So.
Well, I say that because I just rewatched Moneyball like 3 days ago. I guess.
Never seen it. It's
fantastic. And I don't know what it is
acting.
about baseball. It's the most boring sport, but it makes the best movies. I don't know why. Maybe because there's so much friggin' downtime. Yeah. But yeah, baseball movies are incredible. They're easier to shoot also, I think. But yeah, Moneyball is great. You get some time, watch that. I mean, it's Brad Pitt just cooking.
Yeah. Heard that book was good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I that's such a disappointing answer to that question, I realize, but I just it's just not my realm.
So my question, I know you're going to have an answer to because I see a sword in your background. Game of Thrones, greatest TV show with the worst ending of all time. But if you belong to a house, which house would you belong to?
Oh, Team Targ all day. I know I don't look like it, don't have the features, black hair, darker skin. I'm Team Targ all day, baby. I love everything about the Targaryens. I could do a whole episode, and like you said, maybe you invite me on your Brass Tacks and Beers podcast.
Oh, it's coming.
And we could talk about that for hours, but yeah.
Yeah, as much as I love to think I'm a Targ, my wife says I'm a Tarly.
Oh, boy. Tough look.
It's okay. Okay.
It's fine. They're very noble.
Yeah.
All righty, man. Well, I appreciate you fellas for coming back on the show. If you ever want to make a regular, appearance, just let me know. We can start doing this on Thursdays, whatever fits your all schedule. But thanks a lot. And this has been a Nosebleed Perspective. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Spotify, check out the Brass Tacks and Beers podcast. There it is, Mr. Ben there. Listen, he's got some great episodes. Love the last one with the vet on. The veterinarian.
Yeah,
It was a great episode. Yeah. Loved it. But yeah, check us out later. Appreciate it.